realized when
My emails server was down for over a week, and I had to manually create a new server because this was such a nationwide event, and my IT guy had like 6 or 7 other offices out, and just, oh, dude, it's still ongoing, but, so.
I'm good. Or the live stream is on.
Anybody wants coffee, you can only have it if you brought your own cup.
We're all live if you wanna, whenever you're ready.
All right. We're going to call the December 12th, 2022 meeting of the Hammond Downtown Development District to order. Michelle, would you call roll?
Frank DiVittorio,
Here.
John Daniel Gabrian,
Here.
John Exnicius,
Here.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Here.
Cassie Reagan, Evan Singer, Brian Wong.
All right. The first item on old business is approval of the November 2022 meeting minutes.
The financial report.
I'm sorry, financial report. Michelle, is there anything in here particular you'd like to bring to our attention? Good, bad, unusual?
Just that we're about halfway through the fiscal year, so the balances that you'll see here are, we're halfway through the fiscal year.
I make a motion we
Second.
Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Daniel Gabrian,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer, Brian Wong.
Approval of the minutes from the November 16th, 2022 meeting.
Unless anybody has any questions, I move we accept them.
I'll second. Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Daniel Gabrian,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer,
yes.
Brian Wong.
Okay. The next item on my agenda is Chelsea Tallow Little employment matters. Is everybody in agreement with that or not?
No,
Okay.
I think you're asked that discussion of your board position be on this agenda first. Your new business, number one.
You're correct, and I did not post it onto the agenda, and it was not on the meeting agenda timely.
If the agenda wasn't circulated to the entire board until after it was to be posted, how could other board members besides you post anything, request anything be posted to the agenda?
Pass these out. There's an item on this agenda that's from a member of the public that made a request. The agenda was circulated. Actually, I have a draft here. Michelle circulated a draft of the agenda at 12:43 p.m. It did not include anything related to me. No one responded to that draft. Elsbeth, that includes you specifically. adding anything to that agenda. We usually have a telephone conference at 1 PM on Friday. That's scheduled, standing. You were not available for that. At 3:53 PM, Michelle circulated an email that included you, Elsbeth, begging for approval, essentially, of the proposed draft that she had circulated, because it had to be posted, and she noted that I had not responded to it. There was no response that came through. At 3:56, I called Michelle, asking if she'd heard from anybody about the agenda. She said no. I called you, Elsbeth, specifically. You did not answer the phone.
You were well
Michelle-
aware that I was unavailable because of our
No.
office standing luncheon, that I was unavailable from 1 PM, and you've been to those luncheons in the past.
I
You know
had-
that they last all afternoon
I had-
in New Orleans.
I had
So I was on the text chain that I was not available at 1 PM, after 1 PM.
What time was the revised?
Hold on,
agenda
I'm getting to that.
posted?
Hold on, let me finish my timeline.
No, Frank.
I did not know where you were.
Frank, Michelle, what time was the agenda posted, the second one?
It was posted at 8:15 PM.
Not timely. Also, at 6:03, at 4:50, Michelle circulated the agenda. Also, early enough for anyone to add anything they wanted to.
To the entire board?
Yes.
No, I did
I
not
didn't
get a
get
copy
that.
of the
That
agenda.
agenda was not
No.
sent to the entire board.
I went back and checked all my emails. We did not get, Frank, you never circulate the agenda for the
No,
entire
I
board
do
to
not,
review.
actually. Let's see, 4:50. Here's the email Michelle sent at 4:50 to
So,
everybody.
Okay, can I ask a
Okay,
question?
yeah.
Can I ask a
Oh,
question?
Yes.
We can get into the details and semantics of this. Whether this is on the agenda today or next month, it's going to be on the agenda. So why not let's just discuss it as a group so we actually are really talking about what's important here?
We can make a motion, but it has to pass unanimously for the agenda to be modified. So we can attempt to do that and show the
I'm going to make a
public-
motion that we're modifying the agenda to add Frank DiVittorio as the item discussion of his board position.
Second.
Frank DiVittorio,
No.
John Daniel Guerin,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer,
Yes.
Brian Wong.
And I will continue explaining what the timeline of the events that happened.
We don't need to do
I
that.
think that's unnecessary.
It's
And we have
unnecessary.
So
we have
the-
a regular board meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, so I guess we'll just come back here and
I
have
think-
one thing on the agenda.
What the public needs to know is that our agenda is dictated by our board chair. We, four of us asked to my knowledge, maybe all of us, that discussion of the board chair be put on the agenda tonight, and it was left off. Unfortunately, there was no draft that went around to the entire board for review before it was released. So we didn't have we did ask for it to be amended, but apparently we're not within the 24 hours excluding Saturday and Sunday, which Mr. DiVittorio just passed out. So I want you all to be aware of that. It's not that we're not trying to make some things happen. We have given him the option to step down as chair on his own for the last 2 months, and he has chosen not to. And none of us put it to a vote because we were trying to be courteous to our fellow board member. So I will make a motion now for the next board meeting, this topic be on the agenda.
And we have a regularly scheduled
that's
board
not-
meeting next week. I don't even think we have.
So the
to-
question is, this is the question I have, Frank.
There's a motion,
I'd-
so if
I'm
anybody
sorry.
wants to
It's
second
not a
it.
time to make that motion. This is not, it's not,
I
that's
think
not on the.
I think it could be
You
resolved
can
here.
just send it to the email.
I think it
But-
could be resolved here. But before, can we
So-
hold that?
It's not on the agenda.
Okay.
So I'm going to finish going through what I started to go through here. So the timeline,
Well,
what I've attached, hold on, I've given an email to Michelle that we're attaching to these minutes. That clearly shows everybody got a copy of this agenda as it was originally posted within the time period that they could have asked. Your email address is on it, Cassie.
I didn't get it. I went
Okay.
through all of my emails. I
Well-
did not get the email.
Okay.
So
All I can say,
we're
so hold on. So All right.
We agree, so a mistake was made. So now we're saying, as a group, we would like to add it to agenda. And what is your problem with adding it now?
Well, we can get on that. I'm not going
I'm
to.
saying we made a mistake
Yeah.
in our communication. This is a simple mistake to fix. And truthfully, this is part of the reason why this is on the agenda, with the display that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to add this to the agenda so we can have a group conversation as a board that is trying to better Hammond and not talk about these things that are really not important.
We had that discussion, John. You weren't
Okay.
here for that meeting.
Okay.
There was a whole meeting on that. We
Okay.
had lots of meetings while
Okay.
you were absent.
I watched them.
And so
I watched them.
I'm not going to sit here for you.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here for you to
Okay.
make a political attack on me.
I'm not
Because that's
political.
what this is. You're not
I am.
political?
This is not political.
What-
Frank, you're belittling all of us by trying to make this political. We're trying to make this not political.
John has a problem with my brother. He's making this political.
Frank.
John, what district do you live in?
Carly's.
Okay?
Okay.
And who did you, and you made a political contribution to the guy running against my brother. You have this is about you. You were
No, it
absent
is
for
not.
6 months. You could have had that. This is a political
I made a
attack on
political
you.
contribution to a lot of.
I would please,
So, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, so let's get back to the agenda. Yes, there will be on the agenda items.
Frank, the issue, yeah,
On
listen,
agenda
Frank,
items?
this is something
Wow.
that we've been wanting to address, whether, and look, I don't have a political attack on you. There's nothing political
And I
about
don't
this.
either.
And I don't think anyone in here does, and we've all
And you're
reached
not your
out to.
brother, you're your own
Yeah.
person, so.
We've all reached out to you on individual occurrences, me particular, and I've told you my thoughts of you on this board in general, but I'm going to be honest at this point, this is the reason why I'm not continuing with this board. I love this board up until the events of Hot August Night and what's occurred every meeting since then. I've always been in full participation. I've served as chairman for 2 years. And this was something I gladly participated in, but some actions that you have made have affected my daily life, my personal life, with my, my involvings with my family, vacations, and this does need to be addressed. And I would appreciate it if we do resolve this at this point tonight. And I think you know how we all feel. And again, it's not personal, but it's about making things right. Whether you agree with it or not, I would like for you to extend that opportunity, at least to me personally, to get this resolved.
I mean, there's nothing to resolve.
Well,
There,
we need to address, the same way you want to address our, the matters with the employees, I do think it's something we need to resolve. Whether we make the decision or a decision's made down the road, it's something that we need to show that we've done our due diligence on this.
Do you think that you have been an effective chairman for the past several months? Do you
Yes.
think you can still be effective?
the meeting, the DDD is and I do apologize to y'all, what y'all have gone through because of the way things circulated. All you can do.
Because of an action that, one of those reasons being an action that you voluntarily did.
A proper, correct action that I took. You can disagree with it all you want, but the action was to get a list. We're not discussing this anymore. It's not on the agenda. We're moving on.
I would
We're
like
just
to make a statement pertaining to the release of this agenda. It had been previously instructed to me that a draft of the agenda be distributed to the members of the executive committee. I really actually did not know that the meeting, since this meeting was taking place on a Monday, that it had to be posted that Friday by 5 p.m. Jessica Shirey actually brought it to my attention. So the meeting that we had originally scheduled for November 28th, we actually did not give proper notice for that meeting. It was canceled, but that was not Frank's knowledge, and it was not my knowledge until I looked up the public meeting law. So given that that information was made aware to me, And given that I was very, very busy with preparing for the Starry Saturday event, I did prepare a draft agenda with pertinent items of business related to the DDD that did not include Frank or employment matters as a part of the draft. I sent it to Frank, I sent it to Elsbeth, and I sent it to Evan at around 12:30. We did have a regularly scheduled call, but I understood that others were not available. I did have a conversation with Evan. He was traveling, and he did not have a moment to look at the agenda, to my knowledge, and he did not have any additions to give to me. So given that I had only heard from Frank at around 4 o'clock, and given that I knew that the agenda had to be posted by 5:30, that is why this email that was sent at 4:50 said it was a final agenda. It is my assumption as staff that the executive committee is going to distribute and circulate that agenda to other board members. So I understand that schedules are hectic right now, but it was my assumption that Frank, mostly what you're charged with of crafting the agenda, it's important that you get consensus around those items, that you ask for feedback, and it is a collaborative effort to ensure that these meetings are representative of what the DDD needs to discuss. And so given that later on that evening, when I was still at the office at 8:15 p.m., I did make the amendment to the agenda to given John, Daniel, John Exnicius's, Elsbeth Hollywood, and Cassie Reagan's contribution to edit the agenda. And I posted it as I was instructed to do so. So I would ask that these past 17 minutes have only further been an embarrassment to the DDD and this board. And I do ask that you take a look at your leadership and you consider a discussion for this incident.
We can schedule it in compliance with the law at a later date. The
And
motion
when would you
pass.
like to schedule that?
We have a regularly scheduled meeting next Wednesday. I know no one was looking forward to, everybody was looking forward to being able to get this over with prior to then, but certainly cannot be accused of not being in compliance with law, having that on the agenda.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Chelsea.
Before we move on, we did have a motion on the table
Go
from
ahead.
Cassie.
You may repeat it?
Yes,
I-
please.
I would like this item to be the first topic on the agenda at our next board meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Frank DiVittorio.
Yes.
John Yelagayran.
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elsbeth Hollywood.
Yes.
Cassie Reagan.
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Brian Wong.
All right, next item on the agenda, Chelsea Tallow-Little.
It's not, the presentation of compensation benefit.
Sorry, you're correct. Presentation of the compensation and benefit study of the analysis of the SSA consultant.
Is this my responsibility?
Frank, be the chair, buddy, please.
I didn't bring it to present, yes. I mean,
The report is in your packet.
Do we need to take any action on this tonight, or is this, here it is, take a look at it?
it's just here, we've, there's, I mean, I don't, unless someone else wants to take any action on it. It's, we commissioned a study to help address the employment and staffing issue, needs for the downtown development district. The report is completed. It's, I think it was released, probably circulated about a week or two ago, maybe, to the board. It's available if anybody'd like to look at it or consider it. I don't know, I mean, I guess it may be relevant to some of the later actions on the agenda, but I don't have any questions, comments, or anything unless someone else does about it.
I do have some just general comments about it. The job descriptions, if you can see that, if you look at where which I gotta get to the page, if you look at where they have the separation of the descriptions of the duties of the executive director and the assistant director, There's a lot more detail on the description of the assistant director's job duties. We would like to go back to the consultant and speak to them as the executive committee and kind of get a breakdown of where these job roles should have been broken out. Basically, it looks as if they just interviewed both employees and they gave them their job roles. Well, the assistant director's list was like this, and the director's list was like this. So that is something that I would like to find out more information from this company that we paid to do this.
Yeah. And Michelle, just for some, oh, sorry, Cass.
I'm sorry, I was just going to suggest, would it make sense to have them come to our work session in January
That might be a good idea.
and be able to, instead of just a presentation in a meeting, actually be able to kind of work through some of this?
That would be
And
very helpful.
if we have some other things we want them to review or modify, get them to do it then.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's going to happen between now and then anyway.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea. And just to be clear too, I think, Michelle, as far as the appendix in A and B to the report, those were documents that you actually prepared and submitted to the consultant, correct? Like the appendix B, that's the assistant director, like you prepared that?
Yes. So I was, when I met with the consultant, it was requested of me to give them an itemized list of my tasks throughout the week and just additional items, anything that came to mind after our discussion. And so many of these things look very similar to what I had put in my email to them of the tasks that I accomplish on a weekly basis for the DDD.
Yeah. And I will add that, John, just so you know this, I don't know if you were aware of it. I think, so a lot of what is ended up in this report was assembled and based upon the consultants consulting with the staff and meeting with them and with the feedback they gave them. So the reason, one of the factors or contributing factors in terms of why there's appears to be such a variation in the job descriptions is the feedback they received from the employees and the information they were provided.
Right, and my impression was the job of this company would be to get the feedback of what they do, but then say, this is what you should be doing based on your role and based on what we see in other roles that are similar to this in other communities. And that's what we're paying them for. We're not paying them to regurgitate the information from our staff. And that's why I would like further.
We
Yeah.
had some discussions with them about that too, and I don't
Yeah.
know that this is what we had envisioned either.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had to say about that.
All right. Anything else on this topic?
I just have written down that we would like to invite them for a formal presentation in January.
I think that would be
Sounds good.
helpful.
Part of like an orientation.
It also might be good if anybody has any particular specific comments, topics, things they want addressed, expanded on, put it in an email, send it to Michelle, let her circulate, send it to them beforehand so that they're prepared to, maybe they actually have something substantive to provide at the time and not just fielding questions. All right. Next item, right? Everybody's good? Okay. Chelsea Tallow Little, employment matters, executive session may be called. Elizabeth?
Oh, okay. Well, I want to give a little bit of a background here. Based on our hiring of the consultant, the feedback that we got from them, particularly that they thought we should have more communication between the board and the staff other than just at public board meetings. Evan and I had begun, I think in either late September or early October, to have weekly conference calls with the staff, with both Chelsea and Michelle. So we'd start doing that kind of, so we were really on the same page of what the board was looking for, what the staff needed help with, how they're spending their days. We really started doing, we were doing those weekly. And I think that they were very helpful. In the course of doing that and subsequent to starting those, conference calls. We got some information from a staff member concerned about the leadership of the DDD as a whole. In doing our background or research related to that, and reviewing the information that we received, we found that there was an issue with timesheets that were being provided, specifically related to, required certification of those timesheets, and just basically that the proper checks and balances were not being followed. As we are stewards of public funds, we have a fiduciary obligation to investigate that, which we did. And although both of the employees that we currently have are salaried employees, we still have accrued vacation and sick leave, which gets paid out to those employees if they're unused. So we thought it was our obligation. It is, not thought, it is our obligation to be able to research and be able to give, investigate and be able to give feedback on that. Upon consulting with the city and their auditor, we were advised that that information needed to be best practice reported to the legislative auditor and the DA as required by state law. So that was done. As a matter of transparency, because we are a public board, we thought it was important that that information was provided in this meeting. Did I miss anything? That's all I have on this agenda item.
Well, there's also no further employment-related matters also as regarding Ms. Little, as she resigned effective today. The next item on the agenda, if there's no other comment on that. Okay.
Maybe we could talk about why she resigned. Or maybe we could talk about her encounter with you, since you're the one who came into the building without a key. You're the one who sat at a computer that you did not have access to, a username or a password. You're the one who tried to put a flash drive in and take information that didn't belong to you. I think when we talk about leadership of the DDD, we're talking about the executive director, we're talking about the board, and we're talking about you. And it's very frustrating to hear over and over again that these simple things keep getting spun into lots of other things. So I think part of the reason she probably resigned was out of utter frustration, and maybe even fear of your behavior and the lack of our ability to do anything about it, or the lack of our ability even to voice our opinions on it. I don't know any other business where you can walk in without a key, you can not have a username or password to a computer, you can put a flash drive in a computer and take data that doesn't belong to you. Never happened in my office. I don't think it happened to anybody. Anybody else here? So I don't know why we have to wait for another meeting to really resolve some of the issues of leadership. If we're hearing that perhaps there's some change in leadership now in the executive director position, why don't we just have a full change in leadership now of the board as well?
Thank you for your input.
Yes.
Christine Monastery. So the employment of Chelsea Little, Ms. Nesbitt, you said that it was a fiduciary.
No, I said we have the board has a fiduciary obligation because we
And
have
it went
tax
before the
dollars.
legislative state. So I'm trying to put together what her employment resignation has to do with any kind of audit. So did she resign? Does her letter say she resigned because of Frank DiVittorio? Is that what she resigned for?
My name was not in it.
I'm sorry?
My name was not in it.
So then I don't understand Ms. Landrum's comment. So what's the resignation for? What's the findings?
I don't think she listed, it was a voluntary resignation. There was
Okay, so what were the findings in the audit?
It just went to them. There are no
With the
findings.
time sheets or anything like that? So you just felt the need to put that information out there? She resigned, time sheets were, because it sounds like that.
We had a previous meeting where this was discussed, and I think Ms. Hollywood was just giving some information so the public maybe better understands what's going on.
I don't better
Leads up to this
understand.
letter that we received. That's what we're discussing, was the letter that we received.
The resignation letter?
There's a prior meeting regarding the issue at hand with the executive director.
What is your question?
The
What is it? Can
question
you-
is, what did she resign for? I don't understand the connection between the resignation, the comment that was made by Ms. Elspeth, am I saying your name correctly? And the comment made by Ms. Landrum. So I don't see the transparency here.
Would you like us to read
I'm
the letter?
understanding. Yes.
Okay, I mean, do we have it?
No,
No, we don't have it?
I mean,
we don't.
it's not,
It's a public record. You can request it.
yeah.
As well as the timesheets and signatures on them. All right. Michelle Kendall, Employment Matters, executive session may be called.
Michelle, would you like to move into an executive session, or would you like to discuss?
I would like to do our first conversations in executive session, yes.
Okay. I move we adjourn to an executive session.
Second.
Frank DiVittorio,
Yes.
John Dylan Gayran,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer,
Yes.
Ryan Wong.